Okay, it's golden hour right now. Well, I guess it's a little past golden hour here on a Saturday evening. I think today is May 3rd. It's about, I think it's 7 p.m. But today is a Raw Talk. Remember, I'm doing the Raw Talks every day. I'm doing them I'm dropping them at 6 p.m. I try to do them like a day before, to give myself some time and everything. Now, I'm hoping the audio is being picked up fine because it's kind of windy out here. I do have the wireless me with the wind filter on, so I think we should be good. I think we should be good. Jeez. Okay, today I wanted to talk about the shadow. And, well, first I just want to say thank you. If you're somebody who's seen these Raw Talks, I appreciate you for being here. I really hope that these are helpful. And this is something that I just thought I would do because, we all are going on this journey. Right now, I'm 31 years old. I've been to university. I've held corporate jobs. I've quit the jobs. I've started businesses and everything. And, this is just a place to share stories, to help connect with others. Maybe people are before me or after me in age and everything, and they're struggling. And this could just be a place that we can connect and everything. But the whole point of this channel is just to be raw and to have these kinds of conversations and everything. And today I wanted to talk about the shadow. Now, a little bit about me. I've been really interested in spirituality and psychology at a really young age. I forewent accumulating money and focusing on wealth to really focus on my spirituality, to focus on my values and everything. One of the things that I was really interested early on. Now, I read this book. A lot of people say that this is one of the hardest books that they've read, and it is pretty tough. There's a lot of jargon in there, and at times it seems like the writer was really just trying to make things more complicated than it needed to be. I think he was having a lot of fun with, coining terms and everything. This is what tends to happen when you go down the intellectual route. So I studied at a pretty top tier research university. And when you go into that route of academia, you could get really caught up in writing in a way that just flexes your intellect. It's very similar to writing raps or freestyles, stuff like that, even though like a freestyle is off the top of the head, but just writing raps, writing poems and everything, it's a really similar type of thing. It's a skill, and people like to show how good they are with their craft. And academia, writing academic literature is a skill. It's a craft, like I just said. So either way, the book was Psychology and Alchemy. I think it's Psychology and Alchemy, or it might be a little longer, but it's essentially Psychology and Alchemy by Carl Jung. And in there he talks about the id, the shadow, and the path of individuation. So I'm not going to get into all the jargon here, but pretty much the idea is that we all have a shadow. And I think most people are aware of that, especially if you're past age 25. You've considered the idea of the dark side inside of you. Now, everybody has a shadow. Everybody has a dark side, and if they don't, they're liars. That's it. It is their dark side that's fully leading. Now, one thing that I haven't really heard people talk about, I thought about this for a while, and it was through one of my meditations when I was younger, and pretty much, just a second. There's a lot of dudes on their motorcycles out today. They're just super loud. But either way, the shadow. I was thinking about this many years back, and it has become very clear to me that the shadow was just your child. It was developed from your child to protect itself. And one thing I don't think people understand, especially adults, and it's so funny because we all start off as kids. All of you adults start off as kids. And then some of us are fortunate enough to be blessed with having kids come into our lives where we can be good leaders for them. And I think a lot of parents forget that. But kids are very sensitive. What you tell them what they are, you tell them what they can do, they will listen and they will accept that. A lot of kids think that they're bad at something because their family members would say, oh, he's not good at this, or she's not good at this, and you can't dance, or you can't move, or whatever it may be. You're not good at music, or you don't have good rhythm. Whatever it is, you listen to what the parents are saying, negative or positive, and it helps build your identity and everything. But the thing about kids being sensitive is that there's all these things that we as human beings want naturally. We want to be admired. We want to be loved. We want to be cared. We want people to think that we are amazing. We want to be accepted. We want to be celebrated. And something that I believe is that children are the closest to God than any other. It's the closest that we'll ever be to God, unless you can figure it out as you go through this journey. Maybe you could go back to the kid version of yourself. Go back to the kid. But the idea is that we all have these things that we need as human beings, and kids just naturally yearn for them. You know, when we're kids, we want attention from our parents and all the stuff that I just said. And what happens is that some of these things that we want become demonized in a sense, and we get funneled into this system where we're just numbers. We have a bunch of responsibilities. We're beasts of burden. And the idea of being a beast of burden comes from this book called Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and I forget who that's from. It's either Friedrich Nietzsche or some other philosopher, I don't remember, but Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And in that book, it talks about how you go from a beast of burden to a lion. And that's essentially when you break out, you reach some form of enlightenment, not full-on spiritual enlightenment, but you get to the point to where you just say, okay, no more. You know, I realized that the kid inside of me, the kid, my kid, your kid, was not taken care of, and it's time to say no, and it's time to stick up for that kid. Now what happens is the shadow was developed without you even knowing it to be the first one to protect the kid. And I believe what happens is that the shadow is perverted. It becomes perverse, where instead of just trying to get the necessities that you need to be a healthy, happy human being with the admiration and all that stuff, attention from others, like good admiration and attention from others, the shadow becomes perverse and it tries to fight to get that. You've essentially been traumatized, and the shadow's like, you know what? People don't want to give this to me. I'm gonna have to get it myself. And then a lot of us are stuck in this situation where the kid is hiding deep within, and the shadow is at the forefront protecting us, trying to get us what it thinks that we need and what we deserve. And because it's become perverse, because we've sort of built up this idea through all of the neglect as a younger one, as a child, we have this idea that maybe wanting to be admired, maybe wanting to get attention, like having our parents look at us and admire us, maybe all of these things are bad and they're wrong. So let me just be sneaky and let me get what I need to get. And it turns into this weird power game. And I believe this is where the narcissistic, sociopathic, even psychopathic tendencies come from. And perhaps people that go on to full psychopathy or sociopathy, these people are people that just went so down that path of just getting lost, wherein their shadow has completely taken all control. It's really sad. But what I realized happened with me was understanding these underbelly dark desires that I had. There is a lot of pleasure in this world, and there's a lot of pain in this world. And to neglect the need of certain kinds of pleasures, like to want to be intimate with another human being, is not wrong. A lot of people get weird when they talk about sex. You know, there's a lot of people that are very perverted when it comes to sexual intimacy. And it's weird, because what happened was that this idea of wanting to engage in sexual intimacy, especially for a lot of men, but even women, is that it's wrong, you know, demonize that aspect of life. And then it becomes such a thing where it's like you have to fight to get it. Whereas it's just a normal, natural human thing that every human being naturally would want to participate in. It isn't a weird thing. It's only a weird thing if you're trying to have power over somebody, or if you're trying to engage in that aspect of life, sexual intimacy, without all of the other without all the other responsibilities that come with that act. And my phone was running out of battery, so I had to restart the video. But the point of what I'm saying is that the shadow is something that is used to get what the child wanted and needed when it was young, but it's doing it in a more perverse way because it's been embedded in the mind that it is something that is wrong for you to want, or maybe you don't deserve, or maybe the family that you had made you feel like you don't deserve it, so it's something that you have to fight for. Like a hungry animal trying to get food and survive. And all I wanted to say, the point of this video is that we all have a shadow. And I remember the journey of seeing the underbelly of the desires that I had and understanding that it's okay to want these things, to want admiration, to want to be special, to want to be celebrated, to want to have intimacy, to want all the things that you could want and have in this human experience. It is okay. And you deserve it so long as you respect other human beings and meet that bare minimum amount of respect for others. And only take away that respect when somebody does something to lose it. Now the point is to integrate that shadow and to know that you no longer need to fight for the things that you want and deserve. It doesn't need to be a weird strategic battle or game. It simply has to be fully open and honest. This is what I want. This is what I know I need. And that is okay. And I think people call this boundaries, or they call these boundaries. I think it's more acceptable in the female communities to be more open about your boundaries and everything. I think a lot of men get a lot of pushback when they have boundaries because, unfortunately, for men to have boundaries, it means a lot of women are not welcome into their lives. And this is the truth for most human beings, all women and all men. Most humans are, if you want to live at the highest level, at the best, at your highest version, where you don't have to let a shadow of something masking you to protect you because people don't really care about you. They don't really care about this human experience that you're having. It doesn't matter to them whether or not you're having the utmost, just the best version of this experience that you could have. If you have those people around, you're going to need the shadow to protect you. Now the thing is to have these boundaries, to only accept the people in your life, that are not going to cause you to have to go into this fight mode where you need to have a shadow to protect you. Because sometimes when you need a shadow to protect you, it'll do really bad things, and bad things could happen. That's all for this video. It's just a really short one. I think the phone is dying and I don't want to, have it keep stopping. But that's that. If you appreciate these kinds of talks, make sure to give a like, leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Okay, thank you. Take care.